we are. Here we are. Exciting. Yeah. It's a new day. It's a big day. Big show. I always forget that. So we are the Unicorn and the Frog. I'm Stacy Ryan.
I'm Bill Ryan. And the Frog.
Yes,
Stacy is the unicorn.
Yeah, we've established that.
Well, but
I glitter, I glow.
You think we're only getting repeat customers?
This is true. To all the new folks out there.
Some new listeners.
Yes. So we are in our podcast studio in Palm Beach Gardens, and we have big news today. Well, actually, I don't know if she's on camera at the moment. Is she? Oh, not yet. Correct?
Well, they edit back and forth.
Got it. So we have our first guest on the Unicorn and the Frog, and it's one of our dear friends which we can go over how we met, but Amy is here. Welcome, Amy.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome. Yeah, we're excited for you to be here.
I'm excited to be here too.
Yay. No pressure.
Threshold moment.
Pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. No, it's easy breezy, right?
No, it's high pressure. What are you talking about?
Oh, stop. Are you doing any housekeeping, husband?
Not necessarily housekeeping. Episode 6 has
can you explain the housekeeping for our other guests?
I'm getting there.
Yeah.
You mean our audience?
Yeah, our audience. We do have an audience, which you do not see.
It's a paid audience. But, that's right.
But they're here. They're observing.
So episode 6 has been posted to YouTube. We just started adding the timeline to the description, and last episode we had some housekeeping items from a previous episode.
Correct.
Only 2 housekeeping items.
Only
today.
2?
Only 2.
I'm shocked.
And it's not even really
a housekeeping. Okay.
We talked towards the end of the episode about shared experiences versus quality time, and this was a discussion around love languages. I think the big difference that bubbled up for me from that last episode is the word intention.
Yeah.
So quality time has been around for a while. We know what that is, but it's the intention you put behind that time that's important. So this is Stacy's new love language. It's love language number 6.
Right.
Shared experiences.
Correct. I made that one up.
And it's, we, not to make light of it, because, we talked about in the last episode cooking and my sometimes reluctance to pull the barbecue out of the garage, but always being glad I did afterward. Because when we cook together. It's
an experience.
Shared experience, yeah. And it's about the intention.
Right.
The only other housekeeping item is that I had a homework assignment to come up with my own 2 new love languages, and I failed to do that. But
shame on you. Shame.
Look,
intention could be a love language, but written better. Well, but, it should be incorporated, because if people aren't intentional within the relationship, that's a problem.
I agree. And as was mentioned in episode 4,
you did some homework.
I think it was mentioned, I think, in episode 6, but we need to kind of come up with our own.
Yes, we've said that a few times. Yeah.
For relationships and love languages. So there you go.
Okay. Thanks for the housekeeping.
All right.
So let's explain why we have our fabulous guest. So my husband and I, we decided to do this podcast. We thought we had great communication skills with one another. We were older, so we're wiser when it comes to our relationship experiences. And we said that we wanted somebody to be on that could talk about dating. So we were like, all right, do we bring in a married couple and talk about their experiences of dating? But we've already done that. So we said, we want somebody who's single, possibly divorced, parent or not.
Willing
and able, yeah. And fun. And
as I look
into the audience. So who else are we going to bring on except Amy? She's fabulous. She's delightful. She's intelligent.
Amy was the only person on my list.
Well, I did have a second on the list, but
we did have a second on the list.
Oh, well, that person's in the audience.
Thank goodness you're here today.
Yes.
I mean, who would I be looking at?
Exactly. So let's talk. Okay. So let's refer to the notes. Okay. So I always bring.
And for those of you that are first timers,
I always bring my notes.
Love you so much.
I always bring my notes. I love Pictionary, so I always have to, bring my big paper. So the first topic was as far as dating. It was dating then and dating now. Totally different, right? From your 20s, 30s, 40s, and plus.
Yes.
So what I want to try to do is talk about a little bit of each, I guess, like generational dating. So what was an ideal date like? You can include yourself as well. Well, you are basically married and having babies, so you can't talk about this right now. Dating in your 20s.
Look, I was still 20 once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For a day, as you say.
Just because when I was
24
20,
for a day.
You were 10. When I was 30, you were 20.
Yeah. Living my best life. Yeah. Okay. So Amy, let's talk about experiences as far as dating in 20s. Okay.
Yeah. Exactly what, like how you start dating or what
sure.
do on a date?
Yeah. How did we meet guys in our 20s, right?
You walked out the door.
Yeah. That a girl. See that? Who's better than you? That's impressive.
No, but think about it.
Yeah.
You're in your 20s, you go out
Yeah.
and you're social, it doesn't matter where you are. You just meet people.
Yeah.
It's literally that easy.
Yeah.
But it's not nothing, because if you think about, dating in high school and then dating in college, and then you graduate from college, you end up in some group, right? You have to find people. You didn't have to really do that in high school and college because
they were already found.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So I was married at 24 for a day. So I didn't spend a lot of time in my 20s post-college graduation. And then I went to law school. So I didn't really have much of a single scene, if you will, before I got married. So I think that's kind of the context. 20s in the single scene.
Well, yeah, for the initial forum, if you will. So in New York, everybody went to clubs. That was where you met people, clubs. It wasn't just, I wasn't as lucky to just walk out the door, Miss Amy. But, it wasn't like we met people at a library. That didn't happen. It didn't happen at a supermarket, because why would a 20-something be in a supermarket? It was a club.
Right.
But it wasn't always the best, place to meet somebody, but that's what we did.
Right.
Yeah.
But you weren't thinking in your 20s about, I want to find my life partner.
Totally
or even
not.
What a life partner is or what that means to you. But let me give you a real example.
Oh, please do. We love examples.
I met my ex-husband, who I adore, by the way. I know a lot of people can't say that about their exes, but he's amazing. I met him when I pulled into the parking lot at a Jimmy Buffett concert. My girlfriend and I got out of the car, and he was with 4 of his buddies parked next to us with his trunk open, and their trunk was a cooler. Not a cooler in the trunk, but the trunk was a cooler because Was it a truck?
You're
25. No, it was like a sedan. But you're driving a crap car, and we got out.
Becomes a cooler.
He just looked and goes, "Would you girls like to have a beer?"
Oh my, oh my.
Sure, and that's how we met. Now,
random.
Got to know each other, hung out all night, had the best time. I think he even called home the next week. I remember my mom answering the phone. The nicest Southern gentleman called.
Oh.
And we didn't date. At that time we hung out, and it took another 2 years before we actually started dating, and then eventually got married. But that's what I mean by
that is a fluke.
That's a fluke, kind of like how we met. But
it's no different than going to the clubs. It's a concert.
Yeah, yeah.
Where was this concert?
Cincinnati.
Yeah.
So.
What concert? Oh, Jimmy Buffett.
Jimmy Buffett.
See?
Where did he grow up?
Tennessee.
Tennessee. Okay. So I was trying to figure out the
accent.
Although I had a college roommate who lived in Ohio, that you would have thought he grew up in Tennessee.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
That Southern boy. That Southern drawl. You know how I like the Southern drawl.
He was closer to West Virginia.
Not such a fan. So yeah, 20s much different because, you met your then wife and then you were working hard and married and having babies. So you didn't get to participate so much in the 20s. So
I'm excluded from this conversation.
Well,
Would you like me to leave the room?
No, we're moving on to the 30s and 40s. It's okay. I wanted to like compare the differences. Like, so now 30s, you're like, oh, I'm an adult. Really? At that point, you're kind of thinking, okay, I'm supposed to be in a different place in my life, right? So dating is different. Yes. It wasn't just it was maybe to find that, I don't know if life partner would have been on my mind, but boyfriend / fiance, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think I was married 7 years and then I was divorced. I was 34. So I spent then, that honestly was a wonderful time of life. I did have a child and every other weekend he was with his dad. And that's when I met a lot of great friends here in town. And you're still young. You still have energy. You're going out. You're supposed to be mature, but we all know now.
Maturity is way overrated.
It's crazy now when you look back and you're like, that was such a fun time of life. I mean, it was a lot of fun. It's just 10 years after college fun. And you're still meeting people. It's more easily, really. I mean, because you're going out a lot.
Right.
So.
And I think in 20s, I was making excuses, whereas in my 30s, I didn't have a care. I got married at 33 and had Grace at 34 and then divorced 5 years later. So I was on the tail end of 30s, just now single. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to apologize to anybody for anything. I'm just going to be single for a while and do my thing. But yeah, totally different.
Yeah.
Let me ask this question because obviously there's a bit of an age difference. So when you both were early 30s, was there, well, Amy, you had already been married, but was there a concern about, I need to find a guy?
No, because
because there wasn't in my generation.
No, for me, well, I was making the most money I ever made at that point. So I was living large. I made more than my friends. I made more than my parents made. So I was flying high. And so it wasn't about finding a partner at all.
Okay.
And meeting my ex-husband was totally random also in a parking lot of Juno Beach Cafe.
Well, there you go.
See, nice. Bizarre. Yeah, random. But
you walked outside.
Oh, see. Yeah, well, yeah, maybe. Did I answer your question? Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay, so now we talk about dating at this age. So we talked about this once before, like we don't even know all the dating apps, and you probably don't even know all the dating apps, but there's Hinge, there's Bumble, there's Match, there's the religious affiliate ones, there's, is the Tinder for straight people? Because I don't know. Is Tinder the one that's Alex says yes? Okay.
Everybody looked to the audience. Did you see that? I'm just saying.
Well, because they might know, and we're sitting here.
No, I'm just pointing it out for.
So Tinder is for straight. Okay, because I know there's ones that are suitable for everybody.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Okay, so if you want to admit to it, or know people that are on it, what has your experience been? Because I'll tell you my experience on it also.
I want to say I was in my late 30s, early 40s that I got on Match. And I did end up matching with someone and I had a great time. It was, 3 months where we dated and we did a lot of fun things, but I think that's about how long it takes to figure out if this is the person for you. And it wasn't a horrible experience. I would just say it takes a lot of energy that I particularly don't have.
Right.
Your phone's blowing up and people, and just trying to weed out. And it seemed very superficial because you're really just looking. Yeah. I mean, you're really just looking at photos and I mean, you have to be attracted to somebody. And I mean, you're not going to go out for coffee with someone if you're not attracted to them anyway. But it's hard because, at least for me, and I think it's different for everybody, for me, I like a very intelligent partner, more intelligent than me. And you can't find that on an app.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be able to have a conversation. You have to be able to do this, and you immediately know, okay,
Right.
there's more there. Let's go have a coffee,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it was just difficult for me. I just, I didn't enjoy it, and I didn't think it was going to be the way I would find somebody, unless it was just a miracle,
Right.
you know?
I mean, I know people that have met and that are still together from apps. So we know it works, but
Yes.
I'm again, random.
Right.
I'll just tell you briefly about my experience. I made a profile, and one of my close friends, also named Stacy, spelled IE, read my profile. And she said, "This is the worst profile you could possibly have on a dating site."
It's a really good friend.
Yeah, as she should, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the reason it was so poorly written was because I was saying to these potential suitors, if you do this, don't message me. If you do this, don't message me. If you've done this, don't message me. It was awful. It was awful. But I said, well, how am I supposed to screen them? How am I supposed to, weed them out, whatever it is?
Let me ask a question, because I've heard part of this story, but did you create a profile like that because you saw other profiles doing the same thing?
No, I was just naive to think that the guy would be like, this is awesome. She knows exactly what she wants. Meanwhile, they were probably terrified and scared away. And she's like, you need to pull the reins back and just be vulnerable and stop.
Well, we would call that an angry profile.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. It wasn't nurturing at all.
I've used the apps, and the angry profiles jump out, obviously.
Yeah.
I would always steer away from the angry.
Well, I would too.
Yeah.
But here we are.
Yeah. Yeah, here we are.
You know what that screams is almost like, okay, there's baggage there. Like,
Yeah,
okay, she's experienced this. So
It probably, and it's funny because the same gal, Stacy spelled with IE, when I met her, we did not get along. And reason being is because I had a bad experience with a realtor prior. So I laid it out to her. I said, don't call me with this. Don't do this. Don't do that. And she was like, I got it. I know exactly but she understood me. She was like, I know exactly what you want. I'm not going to waste your time with bullshit. I'm not going to send you and we're still friends. And that was 13, 14 years later. Yeah. So she understood me, but of course the people on the app definitely did not, but that was my experience. It was short-lived.
Well, I'll share this because I don't know if I've ever said this. I think I've said this to you. When we first met,
Yeah.
you came off as, I don't know, a good label other than kind of a hard ass.
A New Yorker. Yeah. I
Maybe,
came off as a tough, because that was the walls that I always had up as a single person. And only my true friends
How
have
did I
seen,
get through?
because I fell in love with you. So, no, that's just kind of what happened. My true friends know those walls are BS, but that was the thing you did in New York. You were a tough cookie. So,
Yeah, I see the New York in you every now and then.
yeah. Can we talk about Hinge for a second?
Sure.
Hinge has the best marketing. It says, we're the app we want you to delete. I love that. I think that's great marketing. No, am I the only
agree.
one?
No, it's great.
Yeah,
No,
good.
it is.
Interesting.
I agree with you.
I read an
Thanks.
interesting article this week about Match, and this is probably a sad commentary about society, but Match,
Let's have at it.
Match is transitioning their
Oh.
app. I mean, they obviously want to keep matching people, but
Sure.
they're addressing loneliness.
Oh, wow.
So they're appealing. I don't know what they're going to do yet, because it's an additional direction.
Interesting.
But yeah, they think that they need to. I don't know if they're going to like match people to go play pickleball or what direction that's going to take. But
well,
kind of an interesting but sad commentary about
the next episode. You're going to have to give us more. We need follow up on the Match article.
Check
housekeeping.
Yes. Tick, tick, tick. Housekeeping. So when you said earlier, because this resonates with me and you'll laugh because he knows probably where I'm going, but I'm a Bravo-holic. If you watch Bravo, you know what that means.
Is that a thing?
Yes, they call themselves Bravo-holics. And I kind of got sucked into the reality world. I don't know.
Guilty pleasure.
Yeah, it is definitely a guilty pleasure. And we've talked about why and whatnot. It was just background stuff initially. While Grace was doing homework, I was cooking and boom, it was on. Anywho, one of the shows, and you just kind of brought this up about not connecting with somebody, through an app, Love is Blind. And some of these are still together, married, children, and they met, after weeks of dialogue with a wall between them. They never saw each other. They were not allowed to talk about weight, race, religion, anything of their whatever, what color hair they have, eyes. And I thought, there's no way this is going to work or be real. And I was blown away.
I think it was the first season. I think I watched a couple. I haven't seen the show, but is it fair to say that people on the show are attractive? Or, are there different mixes? Because
there was a variety, for sure. There were women that were, gymaholics, and there were women who were definitely not. And they did not give extra airtime to the gym girl. They didn't. They were fair. Okay. Especially because one of those, the non-gym girl, ended up falling in love, getting engaged, getting married, and they're still together. Wow. And actually she is pregnant because they just did a reunion for a different cast and she was there. So could I do it? I don't know. I don't know if I could do it, but I applaud them because they've been through the dating apps. They've been through the bars. They've done, meet my friend. They've done all that. They've exhausted all their measures in their mind, and they want to find their soulmate. And you have no choice because your time is limited behind that wall for a short amount of time. You have to go into those deep conversations really quick. It can't be surface, which, if you go sit at the bar at 1000 North, how deep is the conversation going to go?
Right.
Yeah.
Are most of the people on the show then a little older? Because I wouldn't think a 20-year-old or an early 30. Yeah.
They were late 20s, I would say.
Because really,
and some were parents. Some had kids already.
Because and I'm sure we'll get into this, but as you get older, you start to realize what really is important. So some of the superficial things that were important to you in your 20s and 30s, you realize okay, what's really going to make a relationship last? What do I want?
Right. And I even have that on here, like musts and musts not, and then compromise. What you were willing to compromise in your 20s and 30s, you're not willing now.
Right.
Right. So I wrote 3 that I wouldn't compromise on as an elder. Somebody who smokes weed 24/7. Not excited about that. Just not my thing. Of course, drinking too, but somebody who's smoking weed all the time. No kids. I don't think I could date somebody long-term that didn't have kids because I think it would be hard to relate. At some point in time, something would come up and they might not get it. And then my last was, people will laugh at this, but if they had a roommate, I want somebody who's on their own at this point, right?
Does taking care of your parents
no, that's totally different.
A roommate?
No, like a buddy that they're hanging out on the couch with and throwing a few beers back at, 40, 45 years old. That's not appealing. I don't know.
I can see that.
Okay.
I can see that.
So I know you have a list of things that we kind of talked about that we would go over, but give me a few of non-compromise at this age.
I would say somebody who's not at our age, if they aren't fiscally responsible, that to me it's just a no-go at all. It doesn't mean they have to be wealthy. What I mean is they know how to manage their money.
Right.
I also would agree with you about the weed and the alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not interested in somebody who's still
waking and baking. That's a thing.
Yeah. Thanks.
You know, I mean, it's
Welcome.
just, I want,
I'm here all
they
night,
need to be,
folks.
they need to be driven. You know,
Sure.
It doesn't matter to me what that is but it needs to be something they're passionate about that has value to this world. So.
Do you think the money thing, I mean, it's perfectly legitimate. How do you determine that, though, in the beginning of a relationship, whether
they're a mess financially or they're financially stable and sound?
Do they own anything, own property?
What's their title at their job?
But again, I think nowadays it's really, you can have, like in our day, I think it was important to go to college. I mean, it was never even a thought that I wouldn't go to school. It's not like that today.
Right.
So now you have all these kids that are, you know, they're going to trade schools and they can make more money than I probably can make.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's really about, to me, do they have some passion and drive in their life to get out of bed and not wake and bake or, you know, I'm a little concerned about this younger generation, although Alex here seems to be amazing, but
he's pretty grounded.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of these kids are on video games all day. And it's like, wow, how are these relationships going to happen with this younger generation with these kids? But I don't know if I answered your question. Did I answer it?
Yeah, I mean, it's an answer. I think to determine, you know, somebody call it money strategies or, you know, that's a little more difficult to figure out.
Well, I think if you go to dinner with somebody and they take out their wallet and receipts from everywhere go flying, I would say they probably don't manage their money well. That would be just a guess.
If there's a lot of Amazon packages showing up every day, I'm just, somebody does not know how to manage their money.
Okay.
So let's go back to now dating at 40 plus.
Okay.
Because we didn't
go there.
20, 30. Maybe we jumped ahead
on my list.
On your outline, yeah.
We completely skipped over 40 and went to 50. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, yes. So today, what's the dating scene like today?
Today, I really just feel like.
Well, she doesn't go out though. She doesn't go out often. We know this.
Well, my choice to find someone.
People are listening. I don't think you want to say that out loud.
Yeah. But she knows this. We've told her this. Her closest friends have said, you got to get out there.
Yeah, that's right. I feel like for me, it's different for every person. Like I have friends that love going out. They are social. They do a lot of philanthropy. I think you have to be authentic to who you are and meet somebody in that way. So for me, it's going to be my friends. I think it's, you know, people like you that are going to say, you know what, you have a friend maybe just recently divorced and you're like, you need to meet Amy. If nothing else, let's go grab dinner, no pressure. And I've had that. I have a friend of mine that has been saying that like, hey, I'm going to have you over just so you know, I really want you to meet this man. I adore him and I adore you. I'm not interested in the apps, but like, you still meet people. I mean, I went out to a birthday party at Tiki 52 and was sitting next to.
I thought you were going to say Chuck E. Cheese. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
You're so silly, Bill Ryan.
Was sitting there, happened to be a gentleman, probably my age, maybe a little older, and he was sitting next to me. He was by himself, and I was with probably 30 people, and we just started talking. And he was a nice guy.
Was a number exchanged?
Yes, he gave me his card. And
you never called.
I didn't, because although we had great conversation, there were some things that I was like, I'm not going to waste my time. I mean,
Got it.
you know what you like, but a nice guy. But again, not all the boxes were checked
Right.
that were important.
But are all the boxes going to get checked? That's a thing at our age, right?
I keep hearing, we're going to have a conversation after this episode, because how many compromises did you make with me?
Oh, hush.
I'd like to know. What I want to go back to what you just said, though, about you just know, right? So you've heard the concept of having a bad picker. Have
Yes.
you heard that? Yeah.
My picker's off.
Yeah. And so, how much do we need to kind of filter decisions we made earlier in our life and maybe analyze those boxes that we're checking off? Do we need to change the boxes that we're checking off as we get older or
Yeah.
whenever? So how would you respond to that? I mean, let me ask this simple question. 10 years ago, were you checking off the same boxes you're checking off today?
10 years ago, I was more open to just going out with anybody. I wasn't checking boxes. I wasn't as picky. Oh, let's go out. Let's have fun. Now
Your time is valuable.
I was just going to say, I don't want to waste my time. A girlfriend of mine we had a conversation today, and we talked about energy. It takes energy away from something that you're doing that's important to put energy towards a relationship or somebody new. You really need to make sure that it's worth it, right? Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't give it time, because how do you know? But I think sometimes it just depends on what it is. Sometimes that it's just not right. This particular person had young kids. That was the thing. It's like I love kids. Anybody that knows me knows I'm a nurturer and I love children, but I just don't want to go. It's hard to raise kids. It's hard. It's whether they're your own kids or not. It's really hard.
Hardest job on the planet.
It really is. And I just don't, I'm ready to have a relationship with adult children.
Right.
I have an adult child, a 24-year-old. So that's kind of what I'm looking for is, somebody with adult children.
How important is it for you right now to find somebody?
It's not, I don't seek it out. I don't think about it on a daily basis. So I would probably say not important. And in fact, I think some of my friends are you're never going to meet anybody. You don't go out. And I'm like, I'm all right.
Right.
Like, honestly, I'm all right. Do I want to have a partner? And I'm not just saying this because the two of you are in front of me. I admire your relationship. And I think I may have said this to you. You have inspired me to want to have a relationship like what you two have.
Wow.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's the best compliment to hear.
It really, your friendship, you enjoy the same things, the way you speak to each other, you lift each other up, everything about it. And I've known you, I don't know how long, a while, a couple of years now, right? I mean, long enough to know that this is real. This is not a facade. So anybody listening out there, this is a real thing. And I think it's great that you guys are doing this podcast because it is inspiring for somebody. I'm 54 and I want to have a partner. But I want it to be similar to what you guys have. I mean, I'm an athletic person. I'm very active. I want somebody who is going to share that with me, who likes to travel, is a good person, just the values are there. I think, and this is why I said I feel like my friends are going to set me up because I want somebody my friends like to be around.
Right.
That's a good one.
You have to have that. Who wants to be the couple where, well, I really like her, but man, I don't want.
Oh, yeah. My brother's experienced that. He has.
No,
That's not fun.
And that never changes, right? I remember back in high school and college, that was a big deal.
That was a thing.
Yeah. So that's a good one.
Of your top 3 must-haves.
Mm-hmm. What are they?
Yeah. And then they don't have to be in order, and you might end up saying, oh, actually but just, 3 good ones that you must have.
Respect.
Mm-hmm.
I have to really respect the person. And that then with that would come who they are as a person.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm respecting them, I respect who they are. I respect you two as individuals, right? So I have to know that they have the values that I have. We don't have to be the same person, but to me, that's where my respect comes from.
Mm-hmm.
I do think chemistry is very important. I will say that it's the amount of chemistry, it's a fine line.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you have too much chemistry, and I've had that,
Mm-hmm.
that's all it is, and that can be dangerous. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that you really need to have a really fine balance with that. So you have to be attracted to someone. I've never been the type of person where it has to be a meathead or somebody who's super fit. I just want somebody who's active, who likes to do things.
Right.
Have you ever dated somebody longer than 2 months that where the chemistry was not as good?
Longer than 2 months?
Meaning that it faded?
No,
Or just was never there, and
that you dated somebody who
yes, I'm going to answer for her. Yes.
That there were a lot of boxes that got checked, but not that the chemistry box was unchecked, but
it was lower than she'd
maybe
like.
you compromised.
Yes.
And
I have.
Much longer than 2 months, because I don't like to hurt somebody's feelings. And when you respect someone, and I did this person, you tend to stay in longer because you don't know how to say it. And I think what I've learned in my job managing people is communication is so important. And I heard someone say, to be unclear is unkind. And
that's a good one.
It really is. Again, it goes to your personal life. It goes to business. When you're not clear and you think, I just don't want to hurt their feelings, it kind of is unkind to them. And I would say that's my biggest regret in that relationship, was not being more honest about what I was missing early on, because I adored this person and still do and respect this person, but just didn't have the other part, enough of the other part, because I personally believe I want somebody to feel this chemistry towards me.
Sure.
They deserve that. They deserve somebody that feels that way.
And did this person thank you when you ended the relationship?
No, I don't think any. No,
I'm laughing.
Is it a
because I think what you just shared is like some really important wisdom. And I had a relationship like that. And when I ended it, because I knew, it's like I wasn't grappling with the less chemistry than I was hoping for. I wasn't grappling with that. I kind of think I recognized it at the time, but I was a little bit too analytical when I started dating again. But then the one day, all of a sudden I realized, oh my gosh, the chemistry just isn't there. And I just can't stay in this relationship for a long time this way. And so I immediately ended it. And she was
not happy,
angry and upset, because she's like, I don't get it.
Did you tell her why?
No.
That's a good question.
No, not really.
No, I did not tell.
Yeah.
I did not share the chemistry
thing. That's the one thing. I don't think anybody wants to hear that, but I'm thinking of it from my perspective. If somebody respected me enough to say, this is a really hard conversation. I adore you. But I'm not feeling enough of this. And I don't know why. I should.
You would respect it.
I would respect it.
Yes.
And I do think I think it's human nature. You really don't want to hurt people's feelings. I would hope you wouldn't want to. But I think in the way it's all how you say it.
I agree. I think it's wonderful to be completely open and candid, honest, pick a word. But I also think that could come off as a little bit of maybe a cop out. Like there's something, the person saying.
That's not a cop out. That's really vulnerable and honest, I think.
Yeah, but
a cop out would be like, I just don't see us going in the same direction. That's a cop out.
Yeah, that's
for the non-chemistry.
Yeah, but if the party on the other side didn't see a problem with the chemistry, and you're saying,
then they were settling.
No, I think in my case, that other person wasn't having a problem with the chemistry. So I think there was just disbelief. And I agree.
But chemistry doesn't have to be reciprocal. One of you can feel chemistry and the other one doesn't.
Correct.
It happens all the time.
And you can't, and that's the thing, you can't explain chemistry. I don't think anybody can really explain it. And,
Yeah, when it happened in this relationship, I wouldn't say it shocked me, but it was one of those aha moments. I'm like, oh, wait, this is what it is.
To give you an example, somebody who we know who is single, this was years ago, she came right out and said to the guy that she had no chemistry with, I should want to rip your clothes off, and I don't. Because she had explained to him that there wasn't enough physical attraction. And he said, well, give me an example. Well, I'm not ripping your clothes off. So I think that was pretty forward. And, he was unaware also that the chemistry wasn't there. Okay, we have to go to our cards.
Okay.
So
we're going to have to do part 2.
Oh, totally. Amy. She's coming back. She doesn't know yet, but my gosh. Yeah. There's so much more to cover. So as you know, we do, or you don't know.
Well, now we have 3 people, so everybody picks.
Yeah, everybody can pick a card.
Well, Amy should pick first, and she shouldn't be able to look at the color, so you're going to have to close your eyes. Shuffle the cards.
I will. I'm explaining the cards first, dear. Closest. And Amy and my husband both disagree with the colors because they make no sense. Okay, so she is not allowed to see the color, correct?
Close your eyes. Shuffle the deck. There we go.
Okay, you can go ahead and pick your card. There you go. Are we all doing this? Are we all shuffling and not knowing which one?
Yeah, I'll just take
Okay. All right, so Amy goes first.
Oh, my gosh.
Ha, ha. Yours is middle of the road card, not so difficult.
What is your biggest fear in life, and why does it frighten you?
Middle of the road. That's middle of the road. I can imagine what yours is. Doesn't have to be the biggest, but
I honestly, I would say, I think if you're a parent, it's something that happens to your child. It's always something that kind of every once in a while, I'm like, oh, I want my son to be happy and healthy,
No,
so
that's
my
wonderful
biggest
one.
fear.
So let me shift your focus. In the context of selecting a partner, what's your greatest fear? Was it greatest fear or what?
Yeah, biggest fear.
Biggest fear.
Gosh, I don't even think I have a fear. I've already been through the bad selection of partners. I think, so I feel like I'm wise enough now to avoid the pitfalls of, let's just say, finding a narcissistic partner. I've done that, and
she has a good picker now.
I wouldn't wish that on anyone.
Let's put that is such a poignant answer because there a few times during this episode, I've thought, gosh, if we could talk to our younger selves. And, you know, I think we do think about our message, you know, going out to the younger generation and trying to help them
Navigate,
but also learn from our experiences.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like you said, we're just so, I was going to say the biggest fear would be finding out that the person is someone you didn't think they were, but you said it, like, that's not going to happen because
I'm not going to pick that person.
I know what I'm looking for. So yeah, that's.
And if your friends know them, they know.
That's good.
That's
really good.
You're trusting somebody that you trust, your friends, that they're not going to steer you the wrong way. You kind of avoid that really getting to know someone because they already know them.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Oh, am I going?
Yeah, you got the easy.
You got
color.
the easy one.
Oh, am I answering Amy's
Sure,
question
if you'd like to. Apparently, you want to.
No. I'm good with not.
No, please.
Please do.
Yeah, because you're dying to.
No, mine is similar. It's not.
Would you like to answer the question?
It's not seeing Grace's children. That would be my fear. Not being around for Grace's children, because I'll be around for Grace.
Stop.
But yeah, Grace's children. That would I want to know what her kids are going to be like. You know. Yeah. Okay, so I have the green card.
Jeez, end the episode on a real low note.
Look at it. Shaka bavakasha. Hey. What is something that has made you happy lately? I would say, he's probably going to laugh at this, but working more and more together. That makes me happy.
Oh, that's great to hear.
Yeah.
That's really sweet.
I don't think I would have put that at the top of the list.
Well, you don't have to put it there.
I was going to say you selling your townhouse.
Oh, yeah.
That was a big deal.
That was like transactional. That doesn't make me happy per se.
Okay, the red card. Have you ever stolen anything? Which
I have. I stole makeup from McCrory's on Long Island.
Why are we not surprised?
Yeah.
It's New York. I mean, that's kind of a thing.
So did you steal it if you didn't know you stole it?
No, that's
So-
not stealing.
When I was a kid, I was into music at a very early age, and
You can't walk out of the store with a guitar, honey. That's stealing.
No. I was old enough that we spun 45s. Okay, that's how
So
we
did
listened to
I.
our music. Yeah, I know, but you did it because you thought it was cool and chic. I did it because that was like the only
33s.
music we could get.
33s and 45s.
So there was a department store within, it wasn't nearby, but say it was a mile and a half from my home when I was growing up on the south side of Chicago, called Zaire. And I went there with some buddies, and I picked out some music. And I don't even know how this happened, but when we checked out, I put whatever, probably candy up on because I was young, to check the candy out. And then we started walking home. I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot to give them the 45s. I don't know where they were. Maybe they were in my coat pocket or something. I don't remember, but yeah, I stole them.
Grace stole something as a young child in her stroller because she was holding on to it. And we walked out of the store and I was like, oh, I realized. So we went back in. Yeah. But, she was just holding on to it and it didn't even dawn on me. And the girl at the register didn't even.
Should we ask our guest if she's ever stolen anything?
I'm going to say no. She's too good.
Well, in the interest of relationships, have you stolen anyone's heart?
Yeah, you have.
I have?
Of course.
I don't think so. I don't know.
Intriguing answer. No, she's total setup for episode 2.
Yeah, part 2. Part 2. Part 2. So, we don't know when our next episode is, but it's probably going to be soon. It's probably going to be in like 2-3 weeks, but we have to check her calendar because she's got to come back. We have to delve into this more.
Yeah, but she doesn't have to come back for the next episode. We don't have to put that pressure on.
Well, it's hot and,
Yeah, okay.
We'll see. Until next time. And thanks for coming and sharing
Amy,
your
you were awesome.
your insights.
Thanks for having me.
And your experiences. I told you it was not going to be
this has been great.
too.
You know I'm your biggest fans. I It's like, Netflix. That's what I did with your podcast. I
She
listened to all
binged.
4.
She binged us. No, I love that.
Yeah.
So until next time, I'm the unicorn.
And I'm the frog.
Take care.